In this video, I'd like to discuss the product sign cabinets. Sign cabinets can be utilized to quote custom cabinets such as stick-built or extruded cabinets. These would both contain things such as double-sided cabinets, single-sided cabinets, or non-electric cabinets. If we're looking at an estimate within Control, and you're looking at the product list down the left side, under electric signs, you'll see sign cabinet. If we choose that product, the first thing we come to is the sign cabinet type. The cabinet type defines the default as well as the area-based pricing structure for everything that is to follow. So is this a single-sided extruded or a single-sided custom? And these can be added in the setup of the system. So if we're doing a single-sided custom sign, the first thing it wants to know is the quantity, then height and width of this particular sign, and the depth. This depth may be defaulted if an extruded is being chosen. Next would be the cabinet material and material type as far as what we're building the skin of the cabinet out of. This is already defaulted based off of our single-sided custom sign, but can be changed here to best fit the needs. The corners, are there any rounded corners on this particular sign? In this case, it assumes we're doing a square box with 4 corners. If for some reason this had other angles, those would also be defined as corners. How many rounded corners? In case you're putting rounded corners, it knows how to handle the labor for that. Once we've chosen the cabinet information, if we go to details next to it, it breaks out this information a little bit more. First, we have our material type, the material, what scrap percentage we want to add, and how are we producing it, such as we're going to break and shear this aluminum. Gives you your skin area, your scrap area, and how many sheets is going to be required. The frame type, we're building out of angle iron and we're producing it, we're welding it together. The usage and the connections is based off of how many angle iron connections the system assumes will be needed based off of 4 square corners. If we were adding additional corners, for some reason, you'll notice it defaults it to 4 radius corners. You may choose to do something such as 2 radius and 2 square. All will have effect on labor and materials. Once we've chosen that information, back to where we were. How is this being mounted, such as is it wall mounted or pole mounted? The connections, and any face dividers if required. So you may put a divider vertically or horizontally, and it will try to assume the amount of footage you will need. Any letter systems that need to be applied to the face, such as the rails and the kits themselves. Now if we're looking at the skin information or the side information, the first thing we have is side 1. Now we've already said this is a single-sided sign, so it's assuming that our first side is a decorated face. Under decorated face, you'll see the retainer information. This could be a custom retainer or something that you've purchased. If it's a custom retainer, the details breaks out what materials are going into that custom retainer. Now extruded retainer would not have this same information because it is all one piece. After we've chosen the retainer, then we can choose what type of face we're going to put within the retainer. The faces are just built up of other products that are currently in the system. Such as if I wanted to put a vinyl face on a vinyl cut on a rigid sign face, that's basically a cut vinyl sign within the system. And we can go from this button and pull up that product and add it in as a face to the sign cabinet. Now, if we weren't going to produce the face, then we could choose our Outsource tab It's already assuming we've chosen the retainer. Then a face type, a supplier, the cost, how much you're marking that cost up to the client, and this will give you your price. Now since side 1, since it's a single-sided sign, and the side 1 is our decorated side, the second side is typically just a skin, or the backing. So it wants to know what are we making the backing out of. This is already set to default based off the cabinet type, but can be changed from here or changed as the default for a single-sided custom. Now, if this sign didn't have any faces, you would then of course have a skin on both sides 1 and 2. Alright, looking at the details for this cabinet again, we have a couple other options, such as within the skin itself, we have a spot for windows or push-throughs. What this allows us to do is say, okay, it's being skinned, but we're going to cut a window within that skin, and then maybe put a face within that window. In this scenario, I could say, okay, I'm having one window, and it's an 18 by 18, and I'm going to cut it out with the router. So it now knows you're taking this particular skin and cutting out an 18 by 18 hole in it using the Gerber router. I could then go in and say I wanted to add my retainer to within this window, and what face would go in that window. Now that we've chosen the faces, if we go to painting and lamping, if we're painting this, it wants to know if there's a mask, if there's any prep required, any textures being applied, the primer, and then the paint type and color. And of course this would be a customized list for the paints you have in your store, as well as any overcoat. The painted area, it's coming up with a calculated painted area that it assumes, but it can be overridden. And if any color match, this will apply labor or additional pricing. Next thing we have is lamping. There are really two thoughts in lamping. The first one is this just a single type lamp box, such as this 48 by 96 with 4 square corners. We'll probably just take one size lamp. In this case, I'm going to run horizontally, and then I can choose what lamp type I'm going to run with. And whether you're choosing horizontal or vertical, it will try to calculate how many lamps it thinks will be required, but it can be overridden. You could then choose the ballast that may be needed, and how many. If we go into the lamping details, this allows you to break it up into multiple lamps, such as maybe I don't need 5 of these because it is an awkward shape. All I need is 3 of those, but I need 2 48s to fit. So here I can choose a number of different types of lamps, ballast, fixtures, etc. Once choosing a lamp, it will also want to default the number of sockets based off of the number of lamps and what lamp type you're choosing. Okay, any additional raceway that may be needed, such as raceway covers, conduit, and wiring. And then any additional notes for lighting. Next we come to the add-ons. This is really a modifier add-on where you can apply any questions to all of the products throughout the system. And then miscellaneous would be to add in any additional charges or costs that you wish to apply to this quote or estimate. Below that we have the description and the production notes. Descriptions again print on estimates and invoices, but not on work orders, where production notes print on everything, estimates, Next we have the description. The description of course prints on everything, estimates, invoices, and work orders, where production notes would only print on work orders. The Print Description Only checkbox eliminates all of the detailed information from the summary that the system chooses to print. If this is checked, when this prints as an estimate or an invoice, only the information that is in the description field will show to the client. The rest of the summary is hidden. This concludes our video on the sign cabinet product. If you have further questions, please review our other videos for the system or contact the implementation department. Thank you.